thought, this is the guy that put the Republican Party in North Carolina on the map, him and Phil Berger. And he deserves a lot more than what he's getting from this MAGA crowd.
I saw the former governor right now, just a guy out on the town on Saturday. He was very gracious about everybody was coming up and calling him senator or asking when they should tune into the press conference.
Welcome on in to Tying It Together with Tim Boyum. I am Tim Boyum, here as always with producer extraordinaire John McHugh. How are you, my friend?
Good. Doing well. Nice Monday, starting the week with the podcast. Love it.
Hot.
So hot. So hot. Just avoiding outside hot,
I
honestly.
know. It's really, I think it's like the length of it that gets to you after a while.
It's been every single day.
Uh-huh.
And it's like on you.
Yeah.
It's gross.
Yeah.
Well, that's what we signed up for.
I know. You know, and everyone keeps talking about how crazy the summer is for politics in North Carolina. And it is. But, you know, this last Sunday marked a year since the assassination attempt on President Trump, which means this following weekend, I believe, is when Joe Biden dropped out of the race.
It was the next Sunday.
Yeah. And, I mean, this doesn't feel nearly as bad.
No, that was maybe, I don't even think it's maybe, that was the most insane 7-day stretch of my career. You've been doing this a lot longer than I have, but
I can't think of a crazier summer, at least for certain. This summer's been busy, and now we have this intrigue of the U.S. Senate race. And so this week we're gonna talk serious, but it's kind of fun.
Oh, always with these guests, always a little serious, a little fun. It's a good balance.
Yeah. Sometimes we get close to where we could probably get in trouble.
we save that for the Christmas episode.
Yeah, that's true. So Billy Warden is with RLF Communications, and Brian Lewis is with New Frame. They're great friends of the program. I always get comments when they come on. As you mentioned, we do the big Christmas extravaganza at the end of the year to kind of wrap. But I think it's just sometimes this discussion stuff gets stuffy, so this brings kind of a light edge to it.
Yeah, and it's just such a lighter tone than sometimes we usually have here in our little politics world. So it's a nice, refreshing change sometimes.
Yeah, we can't take ourselves too seriously all the time. So
no.
Let's get right to it. Here is Billy and Brian. All right, so for those of you who may or may not know, this is normally like the Christmas show at the end of the year. Things go so off the rails that we have to only do this once a year. So this is like Christmas in July.
I was watching the Netflix Christmas in July. It's Christmas Eve, which is a great Netflix Christmas movie.
We just figured there's so much going on. How are we doing? And now everybody gets to see on video, too, in your wonderful wardrobe.
This is wonderful.
Yeah, this is from Pakistan, from my friend Mirza Nasim before the tariffs. I don't know if you could have got this in with the tariffs, but from Pakistan, look at the little holes. You can actually see my flesh if you look close enough. You see.
Have you been shot?
I'm trying to not look close enough. Thank you, Billy.
It's like a Sears catalog
it's
here.
Very airy is what it is.
It's good for summer, though.
Very good.
Your skin probably feels better than all of us.
I'm breaking.
And you got the seersucker on.
Yeah, man.
She's Southerner in the house.
I'm wearing shorts, too, because I'm playing golf after this.
The legislature really is on break.
Yeah.
So what do you think about all the Senate stuff going on? What's the hubbub? I know you talk to lawmakers quite a bit at a state level, but still, what's going on, do you think?
It was a Sunday, and I thought it was just going to be a regular old weekend. My no politics Sunday.
Yeah.
And then the news comes. Now, I can't say I was surprised, because the night before, Tillis gives his speech on the Senate floor, and I thought, okay, this isn't going to be good. Then the tweet came from the president. And then I guess I was just more surprised, Tim, at how quickly Senator Tillis just folded camp, said, okay, deuces, I'm out.
That's why I think it was building up, but people didn't realize it.
Yeah.
What did you think?
Yeah. I thought it was fantastic. I love any kind of political headline. Yeah, the theater of it was fantastic. And didn't he say not a hard decision?
Yeah.
When he left, I thought that was a great line. And he goes out on this really great maverick kind of a note. I mean, not that he'll be all remembered that way by everybody on the Republican side, but nonetheless, he's got a legacy to claim as an independent thinker. I think that's pretty cool.
He also has a bigger legacy than that. I mean, Tim, I remember when Senator Tillis was Representative Tillis in the General Assembly in the minority party, in a party that didn't even caucus back in 2008, 2009. They were a small tent party. You had to be pure to be in it if you were going to be elected. And then this guy takes control of that caucus and says, you know what, guys, 2010's coming, and I see an opportunity for us. If we just make the tent a little bit bigger and we're aggressive on the fundraising, we get our message out, I think we can ride this red wave. And I think a lot of folks, including, because I listened to Feltz and Morgan on your podcast, where Feltz said that Senator Tillis couldn't campaign if he had stayed in the race in GOP inner circle, kind of those county conventions. And I thought, this is the guy that put the Republican Party in North Carolina on the map, him and Phil Berger. And he deserves a lot more than what he's getting from this MAGA crowd. They would not be in this situation.
Do you know what's an interesting sort of debate that formed? One of our friends and colleagues at WRL put out a tweet about how he's perhaps one of the most accomplished Republicans in the history of the state, maybe the, and now they're going to call him a rhino. I thought maybe the Republican might have gone a little too far. Maybe, I don't know. What do you think? Like in the history of the state, and we've not had a lot of historically.
I'd have to put Senator Berger in that.
Well, I mean Jesse Helms, right?
Jesse Helms, but Senator Helms never ushered in a wave. He never orchestrated a takeover of a General Assembly that was under Republican control, except for 2 cycles for 140 years. He should be on the Mount Rushmore of Republican politics in this state.
Except for people might throw rocks at the rock.
They would.
Republicans would.
Dynamite it. It is interesting to compare him with Helms. I mean, Helms was an ideological standard bearer in a way that Tillis is not. And so as an ideological standard bearer, Helms gets to live forever. Maybe it's proof that ideology is the key to the great legacy, in that Tillis, a tactician, a practical tactician now, doesn't have a home anymore.
Yeah. Jim Martin, too, by the way. One is a Republican governor, one of only 3 in modern history.
Jim Holzhauser in 1972.
Holzhauser as well. Yeah. So just kind of interesting to talk about.
What's Tillis going to do next? Are we going to see a podcast? What's up with him next?
I have a hunch he's going to make a lot of money in K Street in Washington as a lobbyist.
I thought that, too. Although he does seem to have great affection for those grandchildren. I imagine he's going to take a little time off.
My thing with him is he's always been one of those guys, if you've been around him at all, he wants to get things done at all costs. And that's what got him in trouble up in Washington. And I think that's what frustrated. I think some people thought he might not go more than 1 term. Some people put him in potentially running for governor, but I just don't see how he could ever get through a primary in this state. So one other thing about the Senate race before we get to this, I want to show you this ad, because this is what got you. These guys have gone on TV with us forever talking about ads, gurus on that. But Roy Cooper on the Democratic side, Democrats I talk to, they feel all but certain he's running. And maybe he is. Maybe they know something we all don't. But if he, for some reason, decides against it, it's going to be like, on the Democratic side, right?
Yeah. This is not the matchup the league wants. They're not getting, which was Tillis Cooper.
Yeah.
If Cooper drops out, I mean, it's
Because Democrats just seem so confident that I talk to right now that he's in, and maybe it is true, but it's gone from oh boy we're not sure to when's he announcing, and I don't know. It's just gonna be interesting.
Well, I watched Morgan Jackson's body language on your podcast. I think he was telling us he was running, because he kept coming back to, we'll have a good crop, but you got to remember, Cooper's the guy with the name ID,
Yeah, Morgan Jackson, Democratic strategist, he reps Roy Cooper.
I saw the former governor right now, just a guy out on the town on Saturday. He was very gracious about everybody was coming up and calling him senator or asking when they should tune into the press conference, and he was very gracious.
That's awkward for him though, right?
He's got a line about it. He was funny. He kind of shuffles his feet and says, I'm taking a very serious look at it.
So Roy Cooper, right?
So
is every other Republican. Right. Everyone's looking at that race too.
But if he doesn't get in, so, oh my goodness, the hangover. And then also the backlash of, well, dude, why didn't we know this 3 months ago? Whatever, we could have been beating the drums for somebody else, building up somebody else's profile.
this is not for or against anybody, but boy, I hope he does because it makes it a lot more entertaining,
Oh, yeah.
interesting.
And I hope Tillis gets back in. I mean, this is
Well,
great.
it's Laura Trump or something. That would be pretty
Oh, that
fascinating.
would be
That'd be a
fascinating.
circus.
It would, but you have to say this about Tillis and Cooper. It would have been as much, the fireworks, but the two are very accomplished policy guys.
And probably closer than people realize.
Yes,
too.
I mean, we would have gotten that heady race you want. We would have had the nasty race you want, the fun race you want.
It was polished.
Yeah, it had. Oh,
I think it would have got to it.
Senator Tillis, come back. Cooper, get in.
I think if Laura Trump gets in, which I don't think she is, but if she does, and Cooper gets in, it could get close to $1 billion. I think that.
Oh,
race,
yeah.
which is a lot.
Why don't you think Laura Trump gets in?
She's had a couple opportunities. Largely, the answer's been her children. Her children have not gotten that much older. And she could have gotten in Florida last year where she lives and her children go to school, and she said no. Now, this is her home state, but she's got to move here by September, uproot her kids. I also not so sure about economic disclosures, what they want to do with all of that out there. And if she loses, that is a massive stain on the Trump era.
I think you just talked her out of it.
Yeah.
I want her in. I think it'd be great. But
What about can we have a little fun with all the posts we're seeing, especially on the Republican side, who are putting out messages saying, I'm ready to help Donald Trump pick his next true conservative like me.
state lawmakers, you've seen that?
Council of State.
Labor commissioner
Yeah,
did
I
that.
mean, it's like the Dick Cheney, like, I'll help you find your vice president. I found him. He's me. Look over here.
It's essentially everybody is looking seriously at it.
Everyone's looking
Don
serious.
Davis surprised me out of nowhere too. Democrat out of East North Carolina. He'll be in a tough race anyways in the state house.
Billy Warden is thinking seriously about it.
I think the key there is to get to Mar-a-Lago before everybody else and get with him and make the presentation and totally cut the legs out from whoever else might be in the race so that in his mind, in that super competitive mind, everybody else who comes to see him is a loser. And you just affix that label on whoever you think the competition is. But you got to do it early. You got to label everybody else in his mind a loser.
If Billy got in the race, the entire talk would be the debate stage in his wardrobe, I think.
Yeah.
We would,
Many wardrobe changes.
And but he could do the lighting people, like could we see through the holes into his skin?
I'd get so dinged on wearing, not
Pakistani,
USA cotton.
yeah,
Man.
yeah. And then there's the Joan Rivers years.
Billy worked for Joan Rivers or on Joan Rivers' show. Did
I
he?
can't confirm or deny that.
No comment.
He's in, folks. He's in.
Oh, I want to do that debate. Okay, so speaking of Republican politics, the world that we're in, it's this you're hard right or you're not. And this ad was fascinating to me. It's out of Kentucky, and we're going to play a little bit of it, and then we'll talk about it afterwards.
It's garbage day in Kentucky. And thanks to Mitch McConnell, things have gotten dirty. The Bluegrass State is sick and tired of cleaning up career politicians' messes. I'm Nate Morris, a Trump America First conservative, and I'm here to take out the trash. I'm a ninth-generation Kentuckian, born to a single mom on food stamps, raised in a union household. I'm the product of Bluegrass Grit. I borrowed 10 grand to start a business, created thousands of jobs, and took it public, valued at $2 billion, as one of the biggest trash companies in America. So I know a little bit about garbage. And Mitch McConnell, he's trash Trump. And for over 40 years, he's been dumping on us. Amnesty for millions of illegals. Rhino judges in courtrooms across America joining Democrats on gun control. Billions spent on Ukraine and other foreign wars, and trillions more on Biden's massive spending bill, all while becoming one of the richest senators in Washington.
What do you think of that?
I mean, this guy milked the metaphor for so much. I thought he was in the dairy business, not the garbage business. But man, did he do it successfully. I think it's a great spot, and it certainly highlights that there's the MAGA folks, and then there's that mainstream Republican folks, and that's an ongoing war.
So this is a primary, Republican primary for U.S. Senate to replace Mitch McConnell. He, by the way, it's a very blue collar ad, but obviously, as you can tell, he's made millions. Clearly,
Yeah.
But I just think it's really indicative of Republican politics right now.
Yeah, a lot on a lot of levels. There's the realignment. I mean, a guy running for the Republican nomination who's proudly saying he's from a union household, something that you did not do before President Trump. The idea that you would pick on, again, a guy I believe would be on Mount Rushmore for conservatives would be Mitch McConnell.
He's trashing him, dare I say?
Trashing him. I mean, Republican voters, just look to your Supreme Court. If it wasn't for Mitch McConnell, you would not have the court you have right now. He basically held up President Obama's nomination of Merrick Garland, Merrick Garland or Garland Merrick. He held up that nomination, making room for a conservative. And we're seeing it too with Tillis. We made fun of, the folks saying that I'm going to help President Trump elect a true conservative. That was kind of directed at Senator Tillis. I believe, and you asked, it was asked of Senator Tillis if he had concerns about the Republican Party. Republicans do need to be concerned, because if you're going to take this kind of mindset of we're going to kick out the rhinos or the moderates, you are destined for minority status in politics.
So that makes me an interesting point about the North Carolina race, right? So Republicans are ecstatic. One of the very, very conservative people out there in Twitter world, X world, whatever we're calling it, almost has like a countdown clock to when he's gone. But the candidate is almost certainly to be far right of Tillis now at this point. You could argue it might make Republicans in a much more difficult spot to win in the fall, right? Next year.
Tillis has never won by more than 2 percentage points. 2 percentage points. He didn't. You don't win races by going to the far right. You have to be right of center.
I didn't know that. That's interesting. So when it comes to margins, he's sort of Tiny Tom, not Tiny
he's
Tim.
Winning. He is threading the needle to get enough conservative Democrats, moderate Democrats, and those hardcore Republicans to vote for him.
So do you think then that Democrats hold a slight advantage heading into next year?
I mean, they come with it anyway, right? It's the party in power is the Republicans in the White House, the winds to the back of the Democrats, and now you take out your best right of center candidate. If I had $25 in this cheap suit jacket, I would put it.
Nice though.
Thank you.
It does. He looks good. Self-deprecating.
I put it on. I'll put it on the Democrat to win.
Which is easy to say, but I will say Democrats haven't won since 2008.
Oh, they got their own problems. Who are they going to nominate? But it's, if Cooper doesn't get in, Cooper's in, it's his.
But as a MAGA candidate, this guy, the Kentucky guy, he is sensational. Nate Morris. I mean, this guy's great. And he's successful. He presents well. He's got a great backstory. He clearly listens to smart people. This is a terrific ad. That's a lot different than a MAGA candidate like Mark Robinson.
True.
Like, there's a wide spectrum that a MAGA candidate, I think, you can choose from. Yeah. And they got a good one there in Kentucky.
But Kentucky also elected a Democratic governor.
Yeah.
Andy Bashir.
Yeah. I mean, a guy who was even being talked about, right, for higher level.
It still might run in 28.
Yeah. I mean, I know nothing about Kentucky politics except Mitch McConnell is a force to be reckoned with. Andy Bashir is a Democrat who just got elected. I do know a lot about North Carolina politics, and I don't know if you can go too far to the right of Tillis and win a general election race in a cycle in which Republicans are facing strong headwinds.
And what's interesting about that is Republicans are so strong about getting those right-wing candidates in other races, Congress, state legislature, where there's districts. But a lot of them have warned about getting those kind of candidates for statewide office, which Mark Robinson is an example of that, and others. And so it'll be interesting to see what they do. I don't think there is another moderate person that's going to come out for Senate. Pat McCrory's not going to run again, I don't think.
But Ted Budd does not present as wild-eyed MAGA. I don't associate him with like stacks of conspiracy theories. Do you feel like he's successful? He's successfully walking that line between the old school Republicans and the MAGA.
Well, he's just quiet.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing about him. He just puts his head down. He probably, if he had to or wanted to, he would probably say more of those types of things. I mean, I did that debate between him and Sherry Beasley in 2022, and I had to pry it out of him whether Biden won the election or not. I think I asked it 3 times in a row. He did come back and say that he did, so he didn't do that. But yeah, I don't know. I think for him, a lot of it is he's just quieter.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And who knows how this fella from Kentucky will present if he ends up in the Senate, how he'll really present, given, to Brian's point, what an interesting history he has.
Yeah, I think all these candidates have such a we're entering, after next year, we're entering an era of perhaps a reshifting of American politics because Donald Trump will no longer be on the ballot. I still think one of the biggest problems for Republicans in the future is, even if he puts all the money and influence and the king-making stuff beyond 26 and 28, his name will not be on the ballot. And millions of people that didn't vote for you before came out to vote for him on the ballot. And will they come back? I think that's a big question.
I recently talked to Charlie Black, the famous Republican operative who started a lobbying firm with Manafort and Roger Stone, and
They represent Pakistan.
he.
Is that where you got that
That's
shirt?
where the shirt came from.
And he said that he thinks as soon as Trump is gone, all these Republican senators and many of the folks in Congress are going to be like, whoa, thank God. Done with him. Goodbye, J.D. Vance. Goodbye, MAGA. It's over.
I told you guys Trump was bad. We'll hear a lot of that.
I think we will, but I don't think it's going to be immediate because he's got a lot of money in that war chest still that he's still raising, and I think he's going to try to put his finger on the pulse and play kingmaker still. Now, how long that lasts, I don't know. But.
Well, how long it lasts? Is he going to survive the Epstein uproar?
Yeah.
This is really interesting.
Yeah.
On the other side of the Democrats, well, they've got to figure things out too. You got Gavin Newsom out in California doing all kinds of things that irritate a lot of Democrats, frankly. But who's going to do it? And can they focus on issues like, there was an article I read about what Democrats should or should not focus on. Can they stick to like economic issues and just harp on that? Should they use Trump still? There's a lot of difficult decisions for Democrats, I think.
That's why I like the thing they're proposing, this Project 2030. Is that what it is? You know,
Is that the answer to 2025?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And it gets a lot of flack out there. They're putting millions of dollars into this copy of what worked for the Republicans. But I like it because the Democrats have tended to be just super reactive, and some of their key media pillars, NPR, MSNBC, will go as what they cover, what the most emotional thing is. That is immigration. And so then what happens is, just by default, Democrats always seeming to center immigration as their number one issue. And there's just so many centrist Democrats who are like, well, I want to be empathetic, but that's not my issue. But they get stuck with it because they're not rallied around like something to be really hard-hitting about.
Democrats need a Southern governor, someone like Bill Clinton did in the early 90s, when he started going around making speeches saying that the Democratic Party needs to move back to the center. He took on some, rappers of the time who were talking about
Sister Solia.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. Went to the NAACP convention, I think, and made that speech.
Maybe they get Roy Cooper a saxophone.
Exactly. I mean,
Boxers or briefs.
It feels to me that both parties are racing to their polar extremes. The party that can bring it back to the center, and that's an uncomfortable position for the parties. I know
In this era.
Yeah, it is a very uncomfortable position. But your future is dependent upon your ability to get to the center.
Who can get the donors focused on winning a general election? Because the donors right now are focused on winning primaries, frankly, and sticking to their principles no matter what. Where do you think Roy Cooper lands? And speaking of messaging, let's assume he jumps in for the sake of this conversation. Where do you think he lands on that ideologically then? Because I think Roy is an old school North Carolina Democrat. He's from the Rocky Mount area. Those Democrats were sort of conservative business Democrats. But he had to move to the left to win, especially in 2020 and beyond, and he hired a staff that pushed him to the left. I don't know whether that's really him deep down or not.
What did he do that was so leftist? What would be the signal things he said and did that indicate.
I don't even know
moved to the
things
left.
about he did, but he definitely stood up for all the things that were national.
The vetoes. The vetoes.
Yeah.
You could is a laundry list of. I mean, and if, in fairness, the General Assembly boxed him in on those issues. So the transgender issues, sports, something transgender athletes playing in sports is something that doesn't poll well for Democrats, but it does with the base of the Democratic Party, and he would veto that legislation. I think you look back at, to your point, Governor Cooper when he was Senator Cooper. I mean, he had signed off on some anti-abortion language when Republicans had the House, and he was negotiating with the Senate. He was a different legislator.
He's evolved with where the party has gone, I think is probably a way to say it. Whether, and I don't know the answer to this deep down, whether he was that, but it'll be interesting to see in 2026 if he gets in, what he runs on. You know, he was very focused. One of the things he got along with well was the legislature was business, and the economy I think is going to be one of the biggest things out there. It always is.
Yeah.
I was talking to a Democrat who was telling me that their party was having a hard time even talking about business issues because some Democrats have a hard time saying the word business. And I think that Governor Cooper will definitely be pro-business. And that is something not to take lightly among Democrats. I mean, they are having a difficult time with this message.
I mean, the Republicans will try to get him into the culture war battle. Yeah. The question is, can they stay disciplined and stay out of it? Or do they want to stay out of it? Even?
He's a bad candidate to push into the culture wars thing. I'm talking about from the Republican point of view, because if American politics is mostly personality-based, personality-driven, he doesn't have the kind of personality that's going to make for an emotional moment where he seems to be very performative, where he's like forcing tears, the sort of the quote-unquote cringy stuff that the right is always calling out about the left. That's not how he does things. So you can push him as much as you want, but he's always going to be Roy Cooper from out east. That's just how he presents. I think so it'd be tougher for them.
I'll be curious to know Republicans, because I get the early indications that they go after him for the hurricane recovery in Matthew and Florence out east, and then the whole you shut us down during COVID. But I'd be curious to know how North Carolinians think about that as an issue in 2026 for U.S. Senate, and whether that would, stick with voters.
Yeah.
Even if they look back on even if you do those ads, like we can't go back, look at the terrible resume, even if that's your whole thing and you put $1 billion behind it, how are they going to feel of that versus the outcomes of the big, beautiful bill? I think the big, beautiful bill is a gift to the Democrats in the way that Joe Biden's failures on the borders were a gift to the Republicans.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, Brian, I still can't sort through. I talked to the governor last week. I interviewed him about North Carolina being number one in business at CNBC again. And I asked him whether we know for sure that this is going to lead to Medicaid expansion being cut. And I get the sense that people still aren't certain what's going on with this. I don't know. Have you heard from lawmakers about what's going on with this? Like, it just feels so uncertain still.
My conversations with lawmakers is kind of a relief that they don't have a budget, and that because there is so much unknown. We have to have a balanced budget in North Carolina. It's constitutionally required. And so we do think that the big, beautiful bill, North Carolina makes a little money off the tax money we send to D.C. For every $1 we send, I think we get $1.20 back or something like that. So anytime you make cuts, we're going to be on the losing end of those cuts. But I do think there is a bracing for the expansion that the General Assembly did 2-3 years ago with Governor Cooper. That's in jeopardy.
Yeah, but they don't know. That's what's wild.
Know.
And so if it drops at even 0.1%, the law says it's got no more expansion. Yeah. And so they'd have to find the money for that. Yeah. I mean, Bill, you know this. You worked with one of the organizations pushing for it. Like, it was very hard to get passed. And so, and Berger's in a tough primary, potentially tough. I shouldn't say that because I don't know for certain, even though there's been some polling out there. I mean, it's very public, we'll put it that way. I don't know if the political will is going to be there to pass it again.
There's a lot of stories out there, about constituents who stood to benefit and now have been benefiting from Medicaid expansion. So culturally, there's just such a wave of support for it that I think that putting together that coalition again would not be that difficult to put together the coalition and to tap into recognition of the issue, because a lot of what happened was just to build up some understanding of the issue, and that's kind of out there now. So if it has to happen again, it'll happen.
But I do hear some "I told you so"s from people that didn't want to vote for it because they were afraid the federal government wouldn't pony up.
I was told by some Republicans that the price would be so high, even if they saw the merits of protecting those 600,000 North Carolinians, the price would be so high it would hurt other parts of state government.
Until said $26 billion in the
Yeah,
interview with Jake Tapper over 10 years.
Yeah, and this General Assembly is not going to raise taxes, and so it would have to be on the table. This is something that I think Republicans, they're not going to say it out loud, but it's like, hey, fix this because you're leaving us holding the bag.
Which, by the way,
and other issues too there.
But by the way, especially if Cooper runs, who he helped lead from, I think, his first speech as governor,
for sure.
This would be a major issue in the Senate race next year too, which would be interesting to see how the Republicans responded on this side. If you're listening to this audio only, we're going to take a quick break. If you're on YouTube with us, we're going to keep rolling. You look suspicious of the cameras. We're on video.
Please don't leave.
I just noticed this.
Does it?
Oh my!
Is it? Does it feel different? Are you acting different because you're on camera?
I feel like, yes, I'm being much more serious and somber, and Brian's being much more intelligent than, frankly, usually
the
is.
video brings it out of you.
It's a sparkle. I can see it in your eyes.
Like being down at police headquarters here. I'm telling you the truth.
So what are we doing this summer? Are you surfing?
I've been surfing a lot. We've had some great waves. That little something was out. Chantel really brought us great waves over the 4th of July. I've been playing a little golf. I've been, talking to legislators because they're starting to come back from their break, and we're trying to figure out what we're going to – are they coming back this
come
summer?
back? Agree on coming back.
So little stuff like that.
Sharks? Have you come across any sharks? Not in the
Saw a
General
shark-
Assembly, but
Yeah. I saw a shark feeding on a school of fish a couple weeks ago, but he seemed to be content with his sushi, and he didn't be interested in this old man, so it's fine.
There's been sharks down by where you surf, right?
Oh yeah,
Wasn't
they're
it?
there.
I feel like there was a sighting once not long. Like you were
I've
there.
seen them come right through.
That doesn't make you kind of
Yes,
hesitate.
takes your breath away, and you just slowly.
But you keep
paddle
going out
back
there.
out. Yeah. You
So
keep going out.
I grew up in Minnesota, the land of 10,000. Technically, there's more than 11,000 lakes, but we're not bragging about that. But my wife thinks I'm crazy. We go up there to a lake, and she won't jump in because she's like, there's fish in there. I'm like, you go in the ocean, and there's sharks. Like, it's the weirdest debate in my marriage, I think.
Yeah.
oh, Minnesota would be so nice this time of year. I mean, is it a lot? How many degrees cooler is a typical Minnesota summer day?
I think
versus-
in the 80s and 90s some, but it's not relentless like it is here. And the humidity's not as bad. And the lakes are cool, so it feels very refreshing. The mosquitoes, though, are a disaster.
Yes, this is true. I'm Wisconsin. That's where I used to vacation as a Chicago person. Go to Wisconsin. I just love those lakes. And, yeah.
That was the dream. You have a nice job in the Twin Cities, and you're able to afford a cabin up north.
Yeah. Is there a North Carolina lake that approaches the lakes up north?
No. But what I will say is that the boathouses on lakes down south are awesome. Like they don't have those in Minnesota. We just have docks. There's no boathouses. The boathouses, like we go to Lake Gaston a lot, like Norman. It's incredible. Those are cool because some of them have restrooms that you can lay out on top. Some of them have, it's pretty neat. So, what are you doing this summer?
I want to go to the movies. There's so many movies that I want to see or have wanted to see in the theater. I can't convince. My wife and I just can't agree on the movie to go to. She's more art house. She's a lot smarter than me. I'm much more popcorn. Like I want to be at that Superman movie.
It's a great movie.
Did you see
Great
it?
movie.
Yeah.
I loved it. Loved it.
It's either a love or hate, I feel
Loved
like.
it. I mean, the Christopher Reeve is still the gold standard for
Yeah.
me. We watched that last weekend. But my father, who's now dead, he loved the DC comics and he loved Superman. And in fact, I was telling my wife, he took me to see Superman, the Christopher
Wow.
Reeve.
And Marlon Brando.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Billy, when the movie starts, you don't want people to talk, right?
Yeah.
So why don't you just go with your wife and then go to each of your movies?
I see what you're saying. Just get in the theater and then just go separate ways.
Yeah.
I'd feel so lost without her.
Oh.
And, she explains the plot points to me and things. So it's necessary. So what we're doing instead of trying to have a lot of garden parties, which you guys were both invited to one of our proposed garden parties, and neither of you could make it.
How many days notice did we get on that?
I think we got it. Hey, can you be here
Yeah,
later?
may have
this
been
afternoon?
minutes. Yeah, minutes. That's again on me.
I feel like you might have had a cancellation and we were fill-ins.
I feel like, like Joe Stewart couldn't make it. Your Pakistani friend,
Governor Cooper,
Charlie
Jonathan
Black, and Manafort.
Governor
couldn't make
Cooper
it.
canceled on him at the last minute.
Who could I call?
All right, next time there's a cancellation, though, I'm going to go at you again.
Oh, man. All right, guys. Good to see you. Thank you.
Good to see you.
If you want to keep up with what's happening in North Carolina politics and hear more conversations with people shaping our state and beyond, subscribe to our channel. Let Spectrum News be your resource for balanced, in-depth political coverage, elections, and issues that matter to you.